I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:30. Welcome to the meeting of April 22nd. And members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of council by attending in person at the council chambers at the municipal office located at 10227 Ilderton Road in Coldstream, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public can also access the meeting on live stream on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel. So happy Earth Day, everyone. I do have a couple of opening remarks tonight. We're going to start with the election information night. The municipalities of Middlesex County are hosting a candidate information session on Tuesday, April 28th at the Coldstream Community Centre. The event gets underway at 6 p.m. and will include presentations from ministry and municipal officials. Residents from each municipality in the county, including Middlesex Centre, will be on hand to answer questions from interested candidates and provide guidance about the election process. Learn more about this event and other election information on our website. The next is a really good news story. Middlesex Centre Fire Services has an annual boot toll, and the results are in. On April 11th, the Fire Services was out in force for our annual boot toll in support for muscular dystrophy. And like fire departments across our nation, our firefighters are passionate about this cause, as it's one of the community rallies behind as well. Funds raised for Muscular Dystrophy, Canada provides vital support to individuals and families living with muscular dystrophy and other neuromuscular diseases through programs, services, and research. I'm very pleased to share that 2026 was another outstanding year with an incredible $32,557 raised. So on behalf of council, I want to thank our residents and everyone who participated and donated, and especially our firefighters who continue their commitment in support for this important cause. So thank you, Chief. And I have a few staff congratulations to share as well tonight. So first of all, council would like to congratulate Marian Francis Ramos Cabral, one of our planners, on receiving her Registered Professional Planners, or RPP, designation from the Ontario Professional Planners Institute. We'd also like to congratulate Marco Masudi, one of our building inspectors, who has obtained a Certified Building Code Official, or CBCO, designation through the Ontario Building Officials Association. These achievements by Marian and Marco reflect significant levels of professional expertise, commitment, and dedication to their professions. And I have one more special announcement. Arnie Marsman, our chief building official, is now a published author of a chapter in a new book entitled The Inside Public Sector Innovation. This book explores how municipal leaders across Canada turn ideas into practical, real-world experience innovations, drawing firsthand on their experience professionally. It offers lessons on improving services, sustainability, and inclusion in the public sector, including a chapter by Arnie that examines the implementation of e-permitting and shared municipal service agreements. The book is being launched by the University of Toronto Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy on May 13th. So I want to congratulate Marian and Marco and Arnie for their outstanding achievements. So, wait. Okay. So moving on to the land acknowledgement. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we are gathering on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenni-Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. There are no additions to the agenda. I'll look to council. Does anyone wish to disclose a pecuniary interest? I see no hands. We don't have delegations and presentations, so the next item is the recommendation that the minutes of the April 8th, 2026 meeting of council be adopted as printed. I have Councillor Cates and Councillor Shipley. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We can now look to public meetings, and the motion before us is that council move into public meetings at 5:35 p.m. pursuant with Planning Act RSO 1990 as amended to consider applications listed on the April 22nd, 2026 council agenda. This is moved by Councillor Cates, Councillor Burrs. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, there's a bit of a preamble here just to make sure we know what we're doing in which order. Members of the public that wish to receive further notification on any of the applications being considered today, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcentre.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of the public record. If you have questions on any applications being heard this evening, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on the file. Members of the public that have requested to speak are given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the council and provide comments on the applications. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I would remind all of our meeting participants to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. The order of proceedings is the same for each file, and it is as follows. First, the chair, that is myself, will ask the planner to explain the purpose of the application and to present the staff report. Then the applicant or their agent has an opportunity to speak to their application. Those who have registered in advance and are attending in person will be asked for their comments. And then those who have registered in advance and are attending virtually will be able to provide their comments. Remaining members of the public who are present and wish to delegate can be called on for additional comments. Council may ask questions of the applicant, delegates, and/or staff. And then finally, the chair will consider motions for the applications. Now, the first file that we have tonight is 10242 Glendon Drive. It's filed by Sifton Properties Limited. And I'm going to look to Marion, who is in attendance, to provide the overview of her report. When you're ready, Marion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the rest of council. So the purpose of this report is to provide council and the public with the recommendation regarding a plan of subdivision application and rezoning application for the lands at 10242 Glendon Drive in Kilworth. This land is located on the north side of Glendon Drive and the north of the intersection of Glendon Drive and Crestview Drive. The lands are currently designated residential and village center and zoned existing use. So this application will be familiar to council as there was a public meeting last year in the summer in July of 2025. And as a result of the feedback that we have received from staff, from public, from agencies, and as well as council, the applicant had revised their subdivision plan and appropriately their rezoning request. So the purpose of the revised plan of subdivision is to create several blocks, for approximately 860 to 975 low, medium, and high density residential units, as well as commercial land, all on full municipal services, as well as a community park, a trail, stormwater management facility, as well as public roads. The primary revision related to the related to the relocation of the neighborhood park block to the east side of this development and locating a medium density block adjacent to the stormwater management block. Additionally, the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the lands from existing use to several residential, institutional, and recreation and commercial uses. The effect of these two applications together would create the blocks and rezone the land as detailed in my staff report. There's a few pages on the rezoning and the specific blocks itself, but in summary, 10 blocks would be rezoned to low density, for a low density development, including singles and semi-detached dwellings. 7 blocks would be rezoned for medium density development in the form of street townhouses. 2 blocks would be rezoned to medium to high density residential type of development. So that could include townhouses, apartments, and multi-unit dwellings. And then 2 blocks would be rezoned to a commercial zone or a mixed use zone for high density dwellings, inclusive of those commercial uses and apartment dwellings. Additionally, several blocks would be rezoned for the neighborhood park, as well as the east and west trail along the CN Railway corridor, and then 1 block for the stormwater management facility. And finally, there are a few blocks that were also identified that would also be rezoned to permit institutional uses, including a nursing home and retirement home. So in support of these applications, the applicant submitted several reports and studies, which have been appended to my staff report. Following the public meeting in July, staff had requested additional information to review that relate to servicing, specifically natural heritage as well as archaeology and a few other technical matters. Since some time has passed since that public meeting, we did circulate notice of the revised application to area residents as well as agencies. And at the time of writing my staff report, we received correspondence from abutting landowners, which has been included in the council agenda. Primarily, residents have expressed concerns with the scale and compatibility and the placement of the high-density residential blocks. These are the blocks that are closer to Glendon Drive. They've also expressed compatibility concerns with the level of intensification, specifically within the Kilworth and Kamoka area. They've identified concerns with the impact of high-density development traffic, especially on Glendon Drive and on the local infrastructure. They've noted increased noise and activity with the higher density development abutting their properties, and then concerns about the height, density, and massing of development, especially for those higher density blocks in the southern half of the proposal. Um, They've also requested for the need to have additional studies provided by the proponent, including noise, traffic studies, and shadow studies. They've also looked at several options that in their letter to council for council to consider to make the development more compatible and appropriate for the land. We've also reviewed comments that were submitted by nearby landowners, and again, that has been included within the staff report package. Their primary concern is about the proposed servicing strategy for this development and the planned capacity for development in the overall Kilworth area. CN Railway has been a large influence on this development. They have confirmed their setback and their requirements for development, especially for residential uses in proximity to the railway corridor. Um, Staff have also had further conversations with Thames Valley District School Board. We've noted in the past that they were interested in a few school blocks for future development. However, just given the size of the blocks that are being proposed, they've found that they would be too small for their needs. But however, they are still interested in long-term planning for Kilworth and Kamoka area. So in light of these comments, staff acknowledged that we've tried to address them as much as we can through the subdivision plan, through zoning, as well as through conditions of draft plan approval. And in review of the revised applications, staff find the development is generally consistent with PPS and in conformity with the county and local official plans, and generally can be supported, subject to a few recommendations and amendments by staff. So for example, municipal staff worked closely with the proponent and the abutting neighbors to address the long-term stormwater management strategy for the area north of Glendon Drive. And this was incorporated into the subdivision plan as well as the draft plan conditions and the eventual subdivision agreement. Staff are also looking closely at the setback options to the CN Railway corridor, as well as any noise mitigation measures which were recommended by the noise and vibration report, and incorporated noise walls and berms into the subdivision plan, draft plan conditions, as well as zoning. There's also a county policy that requires 2 entrances for a new development, and this also aligns with municipal standards when new development exceeds 80 units. And the municipality and the county agree that a temporary emergency access onto Glendon Drive can be proposed, and that would be in addition to their primary access to the development. And this would just be on an interim basis until development to the east or west proceeds and additional connectivity is provided. And again, finally, TVDSB commented as well and requested an additional warning clause just to identify future residents that the community might be placed in a holding zone in the future. So staff also worked with the proponent to refine the requested zoning in light of the recent zoning bylaw update and to address the comments that we heard from area residents, such as those related to setbacks, massing, and scale, and as well from the agencies, including CN Railway. In some of the site-specific zones specifically, the UR1 and UR2 zones, they are proposing an additional or an increase in lot coverage. However, staff are satisfied that the impact to drainage or stormwater management can be addressed through the design of the overall subdivision. In the proposed UR3 zones, we increase the setbacks and the maximum height, reduce the maximum height for the apartments and multiple unit dwellings. And this is in recognition of those existing and proposed lower density housing abutting the development. And with regard to the mixed-use blocks, staff recommend that these are rezoned to a village center zone. And this is really to ensure that there's an appropriate level of commercial uses that are provided on site and to allow for residential development and to find that balance. So block 20, which is the northernmost block, is the more internal block. This is located at the proposed intersection, I guess, of Street A and Street B, and also Block 21, which also has that frontage on Glendon Drive. So those two blocks are proposed to be zoned to Village Center, but they are slightly different. Block 20, we recommend that a minimum of 2,000 square meters of commercial gross floor area be proposed before a standalone apartment could be proposed on this lot. And again, this is to ensure that there is commercial development that is provided on these lands, and also recognizing that this block doesn't have the same frontage as the other one on Glendon, and nor does it have the same volume. Additionally, and more appropriately for Block 21, which does have that frontage, we're proposing that apartments and residential units can only be permitted above the commercial uses that are proposed. Additionally, for Block 20, we're recommending a maximum height of 25 meters, which is roughly 7 to 9 stories. Block 21 would have a maximum height of 34 meters, which is approximately 10 to 12 stories. To address some of the scale and massing concerns, we also looked at introducing new provisions related to stepping back. And this is related, if you see in the zoning bylaw, you'll see references to podium and tower and step back. So essentially, if you're building a building of any structure over 3 stories, any structure above the 3-story would need to be stepped back from the facade at least 10 feet or more. And we've seen this type of development before, and where the buildings could have like rooftop patios, and this could also be considered as amenity space for residents in those buildings. Finally, we have noted concern with the transition between the proposed high-density blocks and the existing single detached dwellings on Glendon Drive, and have also recommended an increased setback of at least 12 meters, in addition to those step back provisions that I just mentioned. So in consideration of all the feedback that we have received from staff, from agencies, from the public, staff are satisfied that this proposal, again, is consistent with the PPS and in conformity with the county and local official plan, and recommend approval of the zoning bylaw amendment as amended by staff, and that the county be advised that Middlesex Center recommends draft plan approval subject to the draft plan conditions for a period of 3 years. And I know there is a lot of content within the staff report, within the draft plan conditions and the zoning bylaw amendments, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that comprehensive report. Does the applicant or their agent wish to speak to the application? Yeah. If you'd like to push the button that has that'll be the middle one, it turns green and then, oh, it's red, and I'll push the button. There you go. The floor is yours when you're ready, Ms. Sifton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Nicole Looms. I'm the project manager at Sifton Properties on this file. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this today. Sifton Properties would like to thank staff for their supportive report tonight on our file. We would, however, like to formalize our position on the draft plan conditions. We feel like there is a couple of the conditions that don't necessarily reflect what we agree is a approvable condition, and we would like to, or we look forward to further dialogue with staff prior to county council. So that's it for me today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. I'll call on members of the public who have registered.
No one's registered.
Oh, no one has registered. And is anyone here wishing to speak to this? All right. And I guess no one's here. Does council wish to comment on? Okay, go ahead.
To you, Madam Mayor, to Marion. the one comment you made about institutional lots, was there, I'm not sure if I'm missing it, is there space there for a school? And is there adequate space set aside for a school?
Yeah, through the mayor to you, Deputy Mayor, that's a great question. So there are 3 blocks that we have, I guess, split zoned or actually combined zoned. So they are zoned Village Center and the UR3 zone, but also zoned institutional. So we have those set aside for a school potentially if they are interested. However, TVDSB in this specific case just weren't interested in that size of block, but it is open to any other interested party if they are.
Okay.
Okay. And Councillor Cates, you're next. Don't turn yours off.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I have a few, I had a big list, but I've since finished reading the reports and it's answered some of the things for me. So of course I read the letters from the public input and was happy to see that it noted that further work with the abutting neighbors will be done. So that's good. And as I understand it, the stepping is and further setbacks is going to help with that as well. Because that the way that, for example, block 19, what it's being zoned for could be a whole array of different things. But I guess we've covered off some of it with the setbacks and the stepping. The other thing is the so when I was reading through, well, I'm disappointed to hear that we aren't going to have a school in there, but at least it's not a school, no school anywhere. So, because that's, you know, that's, we're going to have a lot of kids. The other thing that I wanted to say that I've since talked with Rob and Stephanie about, so I feel okay with this. In reading the reports, you know, I read the transportation report and then I thought, this can't even be right. These numbers don't even seem like they could be accurate. And then later I read in the report that county and Middlesex Center staff didn't agree with the numbers either. So I'm glad I wasn't looking at it wrong. And then my other thing was on the wastewater and which again is being addressed for capacity and it sounds like that's all good as well. So I wanted to, you know, when you take into consideration the Sifton, Kilworth Heights down Edgewater, and so that sounds like that's all okay as well. And that things are going to still continue to get addressed for the draft plan approval. I think that is, I think that's all of my comments for now. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Burrs, and leave it on so we don't have to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
through you, your worship, to Marion. The planner on this file for Sifton has said they don't agree with a couple things. The planner didn't specify what that was, but I'll bet you a part of it is the rail line conditions. Don't know how they're going to get out of that. I don't know what else they're looking for. So my next question is, this is a development. We don't know when it will start. It'll probably take 8 to 10 years to roll through it. Yeah, would you agree with that? Okay. And the other thing that I would be concerned with, that the development, and our planners already answered it, but the development would happen in the back end so that you don't get front end development and all these trucks going by, all of this stuff. Okay. I think that's about it, other than we have one apartment building proposed. It'll be 10 to 12 stories, which I've heard is, I don't know if we have a rule on it, but it's subjective. It seems okay to me. Is that a true statement then, that it's 10 to 12 stories max?
Yes, just based on the proposed zoning, we put the cap at, I believe it was 25 meters in the.
Okay, yeah, you had
in
the
red
heights.
zone. So that would result in approximately 10 to 12 stories.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, oops, there goes. Go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, are we allowed to ask what the couple of things are that they don't agree with? Thank you.
Okay, yep, to the mayor, to Councillor Cates. So I can speak to some of that. So you're correct. I think just the reliance on kind of sign-offs from CN Rail is one thing I think that that Sifton would like to discuss. The position that staff has taken is that we have revised some of our standard conditions that we've used in the past relating to that, where it did directly require kind of clearance of the condition directly from CN. We did revise that based on some discussions with Sifton to say that the municipality would sign off on it in consultation with CN. And staff's position currently is that that is a suitable way to ensure that, you know, the formal sign off, if there is kind of disagreements, and there have been times where maybe CN does kind of push things a little bit, where, you know, there is some back and forth, but ultimately it rests with the municipality. But again, from a health and safety perspective, we do feel that, you know, CN is an important stakeholder in that, just to ensure that what is being done isn't going to negatively impact their corridor. So that is the position we've taken, staff has taken at this point. But again, we can discuss further with Sifton as well as the county.
I was just say, Nicole, did you want to comment before changing gears to another question, or?
Yeah, I can comment. Stephanie's wrapped that up very well. It is the CN rail conditions that we did have some disagreements with. We would just like to make sure that it's kind of legally will hold water. Ultimately, we know and recognize that the municipality is the ultimate approval authority. We just don't want it to get muddy having CN rail included as part of that condition, understanding that consultation will take place regardless of if that language is in there or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied, Councillor? Okay, so thank you for the additional detail. Last call. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Arts, go ahead.
Excuse me, through your Madam Mayor, these are just probably general comments directed to both parties. I see that we've totally revised our zoning bylaws, like they're up to the current standards and all that. And I realize that a subdivision is fluid and there's always a bit of give and take, but I don't expect anyone to come back and want to drastically change our laws unless the subdivision takes 10 years, and of course things progressively change again. And the other part, I guess it's my farming background. 100 millimeter rain in an hour, that's standard. That's not climate change. That's a stalled thunder system. And I figured it out on that property. If you got 100 millimeters of rain, it's 1,733,000 liters of water. So I know you can't design a system to take everything, but I want hopefully that you'll factor in when these torrents come down, that there's where the water is going to go, because the pond won't hold it. We all know that. So, and the neighboring property too, you can't really dump it. So that's just something for all parties to consider. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Last call. I don't see any hands. In that case, do I have to read the whole thing? Okay.
We can just say
Yeah.
application to be approved.
Okay. So the recommendation is before us is that the PLA 15/2026 regarding the application for draft plan subdivision, that is 39T MC 501, and zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 5/2025 be received. And there's a whole raft.
Yeah.
Yep.
Say that CBA 5/2025 be approved.
Oh, okay. So
Be approved.
yeah, the basic overview is that the zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 5/2025 to rezone the property as described in the document be approved as in our notes. And further, that the County of Middlesex be advised that Middlesex Center recommends a draft plan approval for the land known legally as concession 2S Part Lot 7, former Township of Lowell, and known municipally as 1 0242 Glendon Drive in the municipality of Middlesex Center, County File Number 39T MC 2501, subject to the draft plan conditions appended to the Middlesex Center Report PLA 15206 and subject to a 3-year lapse period. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Councillor Burrs, Councillor Cates, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you all for your participation, and we'll move on to Ilderton Road. This is number 7.2, filed by Connor Wilkes, Dillon Consulting, on behalf of RBA 17 Holdings, Inc. Again, we're going to ask Marion Francis Ramos Cabral, planner, to provide an overview of the planning report when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the purpose of this report is to provide information to council and to the public to solicit feedback regarding the rezoning file ZBA 3/2025 for the property at 13206 Ilderton Road. The purpose of this application is to rezone the property from urban residential first density to village center or C1 exception zone. This application did come before council last year at around the same time in April of 2025. And in response to the comments that we have received from staff specifically on some of the technical matters of the development proposal, the applicant revised their plan by essentially flipping the site plan or mirroring it on the site. So as a result of this change, as well as in recognition of all the updates in the zoning bylaw, the applicant revised their application to request a minimum lot area of 0.0796 hectares, to reduce the minimum side yard setback of 3 meters when it's abutting a residential zone, and this is specifically to the western property line, to request a minimum of 9 parking spaces for the residential and commercial units, whereas 11 are required. To reduce the minimum width for a landscaped area to 0.4 meters, and this is specifically abutting the parking area and the driving aisle, so the north and east property line, as well as the minimum planting strip between the commercial and residential zone to 0.86 meters, and again, this is to the western property line. So the effect of this application would continue to permit the construction of a new 3-story mixed-use building on the western side of the property this time. So this proposes 2 commercial units on the main floor, which is approximately 1,060 square feet each, as well as 2 residential apartments on the second floor and 2 residential apartments on the third floor. Entrances to these commercial spaces are located in the front and the rear of the property, as well as the residential units have access to the side yards on both the east and west side of this building. This driveway, again, is now relocated to the east side of this property and extends to the rear, where 9 parking spaces are provided for the residential units as well as the commercial uses. And the applicant has also now proposed garbage and recycling to be interior adjacent to one of the interior stairwells of this property. The detailed site plan has been appended to my staff report. So this land is located within the settlement area of Ilderton and is specifically designated village village center. Staff review this application against all relevant policies, and generally we are supportive of this mixed-use development along the main corridor within the settlement area, especially when it retains commercial and residential development. Notice of this revised application was circulated to area residents, agencies, and staff. At this time, we have not received any comments from members of the public. From staff, specifically, we have heard from Public Works and Engineering, especially related to the reduced planting strip and landscaping strips around this property. These are really intended to separate the use and the building from abutting land to the east, to the west, and to the north. But it also addresses drainage and stormwater management on site. So staff are actively working with the proponent to confirm if the proposed site plan can be supported technically before providing support for the requested zoning bylaw. So we specifically requested additional reports related to drainage and if it can be accommodated on site based on this proposed plan. Similarly, the chief building official had identified concerns with reduced planting strips as it doesn't provide sufficient space for snow piling on this property. The county engineer is generally satisfied with the revision to the site plan, specifically with the new driveway location on the east side of the development. Additionally, they are satisfied with the increased setback of 1 meter. Previously, the building was set back 0 meters from the property line. It was right where it would meet Ilderton Road. And the applicant has revised it by pushing the the building back a meter. So again, staff are generally supportive of this type of development, but we just need to make sure that it can be technically sound and supported on this property. We draw some concern to the impact of the reduced parking spaces on this property and if there's any impact on street parking on Ilderton Road. We had some concerns with the location of the garbage storage and if that can be supported on site. And of course, the lack of amenity area for residents of that building. So again, this staff report is presented to council for information purposes and to solicit feedback. And at this time, we would like to answer any questions that council or the public may have. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. We have Connor Wilkes attending virtually.
Okay. So- Yes.
Yes, okay. Connor is from Dillon Consulting. Are you there?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Hi, the floor is yours if you'd like to make your comments.
Perfect. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. My name is Connor Wilkes. I'm a planner with Dillon Consulting. I'm here tonight representing the owner of 13206 Ilderton Road. I just want to commend staff and thank them for their work on this file. We are currently addressing the comments received from Public Works and plan to resubmit a full package to staff in the coming weeks and bring this back in front of council for a recommendation. I'm just here to answer any questions and thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't know if anyone here in the public wishes to speak. Okay, I'll call on members of the public then. If you would like to state your name and address, please, when you have a green light. Push the button and I'll make it green and the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm Glenn Scarborough. I live at 13178 Ilderton Road. My sister owns the property to the west. And the only concern, we have no concerns really. The only thing that we do want to know about if we could have a fence at the back, because in that one indent, there's 2.8 feet. And I'm thinking if there's snow or if somebody's in a loopy mood when they get home, it's better to hit a fence than hit her garage. Otherwise, we have no problem with it. That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone virtually? No, virtually?
It's virtually.
Okay, I've confirmed no one is there virtually, so I'll look to members of council for any questions, comments, observations. And Councillor Coles, the floor is yours.
Thank you for Madam Mayor it's just a comment I want to make. It's just, I'm supportive of this variety of housing and commercial. We don't have much of this in town, so it's going to be it's very welcome. And I haven't heard any negative comments about it either. I think the residents will be very welcoming to see that. We do need more commercial uses. So thank you very much. And yes, I was also thinking about the snow. Where are we going to put the snow there? So that's an important piece. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor, oh, sorry.
We'll run through council first.
Okay. Go ahead and then we'll take the next person.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I just was going to comment. I agree with Councillor Coles. I think it's a great use of this property. Marion, did I not read that it did say that it would be fully fenced? Did I read that? Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, my understanding is that Mr. Wilkes would. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Marion.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cates, yes, through site plan control for the development of the site, we will look at fencing around the entire property.
Ready? Okay, Mr. Wilkes would like to comment. Is he on? Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Yeah, through the chair, to the comment about the snow storage. I know that was a comment from Public Works as well as raised by one of the councillors. As part of our resubmission, we are going to flip the snow storage area that's identified on the site plan to the western part of the property, where there's just a larger area to store that snow.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Is there anyone else? I don't see any hands or lights. We do have a recommendation before us, and that is that report PLA 16/2026 regarding zoning bylaw amendment applications at BA 3 2025 filed by Connor Wilkes of Dillon Consulting Limited on behalf of RBA 17 Holdings Inc. to rezone the lands from urban residential first density UR to a new site-specific village center C1-X zone for the land known municipally as 13206 Ilderton Road on County Road 16, Municipality of Middlesex Center, be received for information. I have Councillor Coles and Councillor Cates. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Alrighty, that's that for that section. Next up, we have community improvement plan updates, and Stephanie Bergman, Manager of Planning and Development, is in attendance to provide an overview of that planning report. When you're ready, Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Mayor, and through you to the rest of council. I am here today. You'll recall in December of 2025, it says 2026 here, but 2025, I did provide an overview of the updates to our CIP that we had been working on, which included adding some incentive programs for affordable housing and also additional residential units. We were also looking at the addition of tax increment grants for larger scale economic development projects, and then the other kind of minor technical revisions that we made to the CIP. And since then, we've just come back with a couple of other changes that we were hoping that we are putting before council today for adoption. So a few changes that I just want to highlight. We did identify an additional goal within our CIP. Identification of goals is an important component when we're looking at contributing public funds to these projects. So we did identify another goal of supporting access to diverse and high quality recreation opportunities, enhancing community health and well-being, and then of course supporting the long-term social and economic vitality of our municipality. So and we also looked at, so the two kind of primary changes that we made here are the introduction of a recreation facility loan program. So loan programs are also tools that can be used as part of a community improvement plan. So that's providing low cost loans to local businesses for the construction of buildings for these recreational purposes. And then the other change that we made is we're recommending the increase of our additional residential unit CIP grant from 8,000 that we had in the original CIP in December that we presented up to 15,000. So the reason for this is that we have done some research into similar programs around the community, and we did feel that that 8,000 was relatively low especially when we're thinking about our Housing Accelerator Fund action plan and initiatives that we have. So just in looking around to what was happening elsewhere, you will see in my report here that I did provide some comparators. When we get closer to the GTA, when we kind of move through Guelph, some of the larger urban centers, the grants were actually significantly higher, upwards of 40,000, 20, 25, 30, 40,000 per unit. So we do feel that increasing it from the 8,000 to the 15,000, we do think that's an appropriate number here for Middlesex Center. And just to go back to the loan program again, sorry, jumping around a little bit, but the loan program again is providing a low interest loan. We've set the maximum up to 2.5 million per application, and that may be approved with repayment terms for up to 15 years. And the interest for that program would be set at the prevailing Infrastructure Ontario rate at the time of approval. So applicants have to demonstrate the financial capacity, meet ownership and security requirements to secure that that loan, and also provide appropriate collateral through either the property ownership or a letter of credit or some other means. And if successful, of course, the applicant would also be required to enter into a loan agreement to specify the specific terms. So that is some of, oh, and I'll just note too that council does retain the authority to approve these grants. So any of these grants or loans that we're looking at would be coming to council for approval. So I just wanted to clarify that. So those are the two primary changes to the community improvement plan document that we have. And we are really excited to get this moving. So really in terms of next steps, staff are currently preparing some of the marketing materials and the application forms and just getting that information out to the public so that we can start receiving applications through the CIP. Of course, should it be approved by council today and adopted by council today. If that were to happen, we do plan to open intake starting on May 1st. Pending, again, council adoption of the program. And I do, in my report here, you'll also see the County of Middlesex Build Ready Housing Design Program. So this is a program that the county has initiated and is kind of leading with some of the area municipalities to actually prepare kind of build-ready designs for additional residential units. So that would be part of this. We would probably be looking at this program together, and it would be a great support so people can actually look into a catalog of available housing designs that they can receive from the municipality to help speed some of those things along. So I think all of these things together, I think will really be helpful for those that are interested in exploring these types of units. So if we go on to the financial implications, so our budget for community improvement plan grants has traditionally been $30,000 within our municipal budget, and that has been fairly consistent the last quite a few years now. And that is typically, we're recommending that stay as is. That was approved as part of the 2026 budget. We're recommending that stay as is for some of the more traditional CIP grants. So things like facade and signage or accessibility improvements, energy efficiency grants. So we're recommending that be remain allocated to those programs. And then using the part of our Housing Accelerator Fund funding, we are recommending that approximately $120,000 be identified to support the additional residential unit grants as part of our Housing Accelerator Fund action plan. So those are the two financial items to note there. And I do have a bit of a breakdown for where some of where our Housing Accelerator Fund money has been earmarked. So I think that's all for me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the CIP.
There we go. Thank you for that report. I'll look to council. Does anyone wish to speak? Go ahead, Councillor Brennan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Stephanie. If the ARUs kind of take off, is 120,000 going to be enough? Because I see going forward that this is going to become a very important thing for families, especially with our aging population, to build an ARU for their parents or whatever to stay there. And they may be looking for assistance from the municipality to do that. Is 120,000 going to be adequate, or do we need to take a hard look at it and see if we should be putting more aside?
Yeah, through the mayor to you, Deputy Mayor Brennan. I think that's a great point. I do think, so if you do the math, that would be 8. So the current 120 would support the 8 units. And that was, I meant 120 for this year, to clarify. So that would be us supporting 8 units. We could support 8 units with that money. But I do agree. I mean, there is certainly some room. We had earmarked quite a bit under the development charge incentive grant that we started for last year, which really there wasn't much uptake in that. So I do think that there is opportunity to identify more funds to the CIP program. So I definitely think that's something that we could look at.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Deputy. Is there anyone else? I just wanted to make a quick comment in that case. With respect to the County of Middlesex, the Build Ready Design Program, I think anything that makes it easier for people to get through. I mean, all of the questions that people would have about how do we fit this or that, if they can see something concrete and there are choices and they go, oh, this is wheelchair accessible, or this one is different this way, that'll really help speed things up. So just say thanks for filling us in on that. So there is a recommendation before us that report number PLA 17/2026 regarding community improvement plan updates be received, and that the Middlesex Center Community Improvement Plan included as attachment 1 be adopted. I have Councillor Shipley and Councillor Arts. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, the motion before us now is that the public meetings adjourn at 6:20 p.m. and council resume, pardon me, the regular meeting. And it's moved by Councillor Coles, please, and Councillor Cates. Thank you. Alrighty, all in favor? And that is carried. The next item is the consent agenda. Tonight we have 9.1 through 9.7. Is there anything here that council would like to pull for discussion? I have Councillor Cates to start us off.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to call out the Vision Zero campaign for 2026. I like it. Thank you for all the continued work on the Vision Zero and this little slow addition of some permanent bumps, and I like the idea of the new machine as well. It's in this report, I believe. Yes. Yes, so thank you for that. And the road resurfacing detailed report as well. Thank you.
Okay, is there, okay, go ahead, Councillor. There you go. Got it.
Thank you. 9.6, Andrew. Really appreciate you looking at redoing the old plow. I can't believe a new plow is more than the truck. That kind of shocked me in that one, but definitely we're one of the first people to try it, I guess, in the county. So I hope it works out. We can continue on doing that because it's definitely a cost saving. So thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay, I don't see any hands. So the recommendation before us is that consent items number 9.1 through 9.7 listed on the April 22, 2026 agenda be adopted as recommended. And Councillor Coles and Councillor Burris, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. And we don't have any staff reports. There are no notices of motion. We can move to correspondence. These are the items that are received as one motion, but councillors could request one more items be pulled. Is there anything here that councillors would like to comment on or discuss? I don't see any hands. The motion before us then is that correspondence items 12.1 through 12.3 be received for information. And we've got, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Coles. Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried as well. I'll look to Deputy Mayor for the County Council update. Deputy Mayor Brennan will provide that update report from the April 14th meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. First on the agenda was County Council and staff are looking at perhaps adjusting county compensation to be all inclusive of committee meetings. Currently, County Council receives a base salary, and then any outside or any committees that they're appointed to, council members are reimbursed for those, but they're looking at going to an all-inclusive model so that no matter what committees you're on, you would be all-inclusive in your salary. It would also still include a cell phone and an iPad, and they would also still be paying for conferences. So that wouldn't, those things wouldn't change. They're just investigating this time. Nothing's been passed, but they are looking at it. We had a report from the conservation authorities on communications that are going on. Things are still being involved into the reduction of conservation authorities. They're still going to be looking at trying to increase customer service. The changes are scheduled to happen on February 1st, 2027. And at that time, the appointment to the conservation authorities would be from the upper tier. municipality, not the lower tier ones. And watershed councils would have opportunity for input into things, but not in the decision-making process. So things are gonna change. The province is spending about 20 million to create Ontario provincial conservation agencies. So it would amount to 3 million per year to support the conservation authorities. The budget schedule for this year for county in June 26th, they're going to start looking at the budget and hopefully to have final approval by February of 2027. There was a report on investment policy report, a quotation for weed spraying along some county roads for $102,000. Latex traffic paint surprised me, but $4,544,000 for the paint, for painting the lines on the roads and that. So that's quite a extensive amount. And then they have traffic paint that has glass beads in it that for reflecting, and that was 470,000. Received from dedicated gas tax funds for public transportation program, $111,000. That was an increase of 8.3% in the budget. Use of corporate resources during election campaign policy. MLPS creation bylaw review. That is reducing the one CEO position at the MLPS. That's not going to be taken out of the senior management there. Connecting Journeys Homelessness Prevention Program, the update for it for 2026, the 2025-26 investment plan. The county still struggles to find housing for long-term people. They have motel out on 22 Highway where short-term they can put people in, but some people require long-term, some families require long-term, and they're still struggling to find places in the county for that. Bill 98, building homes and improving transportation infrastructure. That's coming out in October 2026. There's not too many details on that right now. Our next meeting is April 28th, May the 12th, and May 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brennan. Is there anyone with a question, comment? I don't see anyone. Okay. Under other business, I'd look to members of council. Is there any other business that you'd like noted? Yes, go ahead. Councillor Arts. Go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I feel the need to make some comments concerning our current staff. At times, staff and I will have different trains of thought, but staff has always given me honest answers, and they have my utmost trust and respect. Theirs is a job that receives more criticism than praise, always has, always will, and they are conditioned to accept that fate. There's been instances where the public has gone above and beyond constructive criticism. When people question the integrity of our staff, I find that highly insulting. Human nature dictates that we will have our differences, but that does not justify character assassination. Staff are human beings, and they should be subject to the same, should not be subjected to that kind of abuse. I think I'm going to stop now because if I continue, HR is going to make me redo my sensitivity training. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, we can take what source we want from that, but thank you for the message and reminder for all of us. It doesn't hurt. Is there anyone else? I don't see any hands. In that case, bylaws are next. The motion before us is that the bylaws 2026, number 25 through number 30, inclusive, be adopted as printed. And I have Councillor Cates and Deputy Mayor Brennan. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. And The final motion before us tonight is that the council for the Middlesex Centre Municipality adjourns on April 22, 2026 at 6:29 PM. And, thank you, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Cates, all in favor. And that is carried. We stand